Welcome back to Developer Roadmaps. In our last explainer, we got the basics of targeting elements down. Today, we're going to level up and unlock a whole new layer of control. We're going to learn how to select elements not just by what they are, but by where they are and what they do.
So, you've got the hang of using a class to style a bunch of buttons or grabbing a unique element with an ID. That's a solid foundation for sure. But what happens when you need to be, well, a lot more specific?
You know, like, how do you style only the paragraph that comes right after a heading? Or how about targeting every single link that points to a secure website? Your basic selectors, they just can't handle that kind of logic. For that, we need to talk about relationships and attributes.
All right, here's our roadmap for this session. First, we'll get into combinators. That's all about relationships in your HTML. Then we'll hit attribute selectors, which let you target elements by their properties. After that, we'll see how these two work together for some seriously precise control, and then we'll map out our next checkpoint.
Okay, first up, combinators. The absolute best way to think about these is like the grammar of your CSS. They aren't actually selectors themselves. Instead, they define the relationship between selectors, all based on how your elements are nested in the HTML.
So the most common combinator is one you've probably already used without even realizing it. It's just a simple space. When you write div p, what you're really telling the browser is find any p element that is nested somewhere, anywhere inside a div. It could be a child, a grandchild, it could be 10 levels deep. It just doesn't matter.
Let's take a look at this. We've got a div, and inside it are two paragraphs. One is a direct child, but the other one is tucked away inside a section. The Descendant combinator, that space, it grabs both of them. Why? Because it's just looking for any p element inside the div, no matter how deep it is. And that's why both get that yellow background.
But what if you need to be way more precise? Well, that's where the Child Combinator, that little greater than symbol, comes into play. This one is much stricter. It only selects an element if it's a direct child of another. We're talking just one single level down the family tree.
So using that exact same HTML, look at what happens when we switch to div greater than p. Now only paragraph 1 turns yellow. And that's because it's the only direct child of the div. Paragraph 2 is a child of the section, so it gets ignored. This is so useful for things like styling a main navigation menu without accidentally changing the styles of all the nested submenus.
So here's the bottom line. The space combinator is broad, kind of like casting a wide net over all the descendants. The greater than sign, on the other hand, is surgical. It targets only the immediate children, and getting this difference is absolutely crucial for writing clean, predictable CSS.
All right, now let's talk about siblings. These are elements that are on the same level, sharing the same parent. The adjacent sibling combinator, the plus sign, is hyper-specific. It selects an element only if it's the very next sibling that shows up in the HTML, immediately after another element. And this example shows it perfectly. The rule h2 plus p is looking for a paragraph that comes right after an h2. In our code, only paragraph 1 fits the bill. Paragraph 2 is also a sibling, sure, but it's not the one directly touching the h2, so it doesn't get selected. This is perfect for little tweaks, like adding a bit of extra margin after a heading.
Okay, but what if you want to select all the siblings that come after, not just the very next one? Well, for that, we've got the general sibling combinator, the tilde. This one is a bit more relaxed. It finds an element, and then it selects all the matching siblings that come after it.
And now, let's see it in action. With that same HTML, the rule h2/p selects both paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. See the difference? The tilde targets all siblings that come after that h2, not just the one right next to it. This is really useful when you want to style a whole group of related items that follow a landmark, like a title.
So, we've covered how to target elements based on their position, their relationships. Now let's switch gears and look at another really powerful way to select things, by their attributes. Attribute selectors let us target elements based on the data they actually carry, which gives us a completely different kind of precision.
So here's a quick cheat sheet of what we're about to cover. We can check if an attribute just exists, if it has a very specific value, or if its value starts with, ends with, or even just contains a certain piece of text. Let's break these down.
The simplest one is the present selector. You just wrap the attribute name in square brackets. And this is fantastic when you want to style any element that has a certain attribute, and you don't care what the value is, like, say, adding a border to all images that have an alt tag to improve accessibility. Right here, our rule aTitle selects any A tag that has a title attribute. That's why link 2 gets styled. It has the attribute. Link 1, on the other hand, doesn't, so it's left alone. It's super simple, but really effective.
Next up, the exact match. This is what you use when you need to be absolutely positively precise. The selector @trib equals value will only match when the attribute's value is an identical, case-sensitive string. This is your go-to for styling very specific form inputs like trib type equals submit.
But this is where the real magic happens. Substring matching. These selectors give you incredible flexibility because you can target elements based on just a piece of an attribute's value, whether it's at the beginning, the end, or somewhere in the middle.
Let's look at these in action. That little caret symbol lets us find href attributes that start with HTTPS, perfect for styling all your secure external links. The $sign lets us find values ending in .org, which is great for styling links to, say, nonprofits. And the asterisk is like a broad search, finding any href that just contains the word example. This is how you build dynamic, data-driven styles without having to litter your HTML with a ton of extra classes.
All right, so we've looked at selecting elements based on their position in the document, and we've looked at selecting them based on their properties. Now let's bring these two powerful ideas together and see what they really unlock.
Okay, if you remember just one thing from this entire explainer, please make it this. Combinators describe where an element is. Attribute selectors describe what an element is.
And when you put them together, that's when you get true power. A rule like article href starts with HTTP is basically saying, okay, first find an article element, then look anywhere inside it for a link, but only grab that link if its href attribute starts with HTTP. See? You can write these incredibly specific rules without adding a single class to your HTML. That right there, that is the power of precision.
You've just passed a major checkpoint on your journey. You've officially moved beyond basic selectors and into the world of contextual and conditional styling. So what's next on our map?
Now that you can target any element you want with surgical precision, our next explainer is going to focus on styling what's inside them. We'll dive deep into fonts and text, and we'll cover everything you need to know to create beautiful, readable typography for the web.
Thanks for joining us on this stop of the Developer Roadmap. Keep building, keep learning, and we'll see you at the next checkpoint.